So Iron Cross, man-to-man combat on the East Front, 1941-42, from Strategy and Tactics magazine, number 132. Let's see, looks like 1990, and I just can't seem to stay away too long from the small unit combat tactical scale and scope. So it seems to me that with this Iron Cross, I think I'm in for, let's see, a lot of reading and rereading of rules text, and I think I have some practice ahead of me here. I guess someone might say that the game has a game kit. Game kit isn't the right thing. Kind of a rough draft version of the game. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. But what I do know is that it has the rules have a very rough feel to them, rough draft feel to them. So it kind of goes along with the map here, as you can see. But I want to know myself for sure. Is it true or is it not? Is it really as rough as it appears by first glance or not? So what I want to do is I am going to use my off-the-shelf approach, and I'm going to jump right into, because I'll tell you right now, I've already read through the rules, and I did not get a very good sense at all of how the game plays from just reading the rules. It's pretty unclear. I just couldn't see it. So that's that. So next step is I think I want to jump in and just walk through step by step some of the core mechanics and then go from there. There are a lot of things that I see that really interest me, but let's start with just the core mechanics. And I should say I'm going to start with the core direct fire mechanics. And that's probably a good idea because, again, when I read through the rules the first time anyways, this combat system doesn't really, doesn't immediately resemble any other combat system that I'm familiar with. So it seems to be a real unique system. So I think it makes sense, but I definitely need to try, definitely need to practice to see the extent to which it makes sense, but I think it does. Okay, so let's do some basic AP fire. So basic fire combat AP, anti-personnel fire. Okay, at least for the time being, I'm going to stay zoomed in. I'm not going to show a lot of rules text and tables and stuff. I'm going to try just, I don't know, I'll experiment with staying in zoomed in. Right away, you can see, so this is a, well, I'll mention this and then I'm going to move right on. Yes, this is a very, very, very poor color choice here. This is a Soviet soldier, a rifleman. This is a dark brown. That is definitely a dark brown, and it's black text on dark brown. Poor choice. Over here is your German individual rifleman. Much easier to read by normal distance under normal light. Okay, fire combat. I want to start right here with the basic fire combat resolution procedure for AP and AT fire. So we start with fire combat in general. Not surprisingly, at this scale and scope, we have AP fire and AT fire, anti-personnel fire and anti-tank fire. So let's start with AP fire. Let's start with the basic fire combat resolution procedure. So we have the first step. Step A, designate a target hex and all the eligible units that will fire at it. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side. So designate the target hex. All right. Then there is an advanced rule. I'm just going to mention it for observation. Absolute must for me at this scale and scope, but I will work through the basic rules first and then get to the advanced rules. But to me, the advanced rules, we're talking machine gun modes, and observation is two examples of the advanced rules. Absolute must. But anyways, That's step B. We'll skip that for now. Step C, PCs are taken for units that will attempt to fire at the target hex. PC is a performance check. Only those units that pass the PC will participate in the combat resolution. So what does that mean? So I wanted to demonstrate with the Soviet unit rifleman, but obviously that is really hard to see, so I pulled the German rifleman over and I'll use them as the example. But we're looking at the Soviet players as the firer here, German soldier as the target. Performance, I'm not sure exactly about the term, but it's good enough. It does the job. So what does a performance check mean? Performance check in game terms. Game terms, it means this. So here we have a rifleman here. We have a 4.2.8. So the 4 is the AP factor. We'll be using that when the unit fires, when the soldier fires. 2 is the close. It's assault rating. So assault rating of 2 in this case, and 8 is the performance rating. So the German soldier has an 8. By the way, the Soviet soldier has a performance rating of 5 there. So not very good at all for the Soviet. Slightly above average for the German. So a PC check. I'm going to roll two 6-sided dice first. Now, so not a 9. The Soviet soldier would not pass his PC check. Now, there we go. Just took a second try. I got a 4. It's equal to or less than his PC, equal to or less than his performance rating. So the PC is successful. Now, are there any modifiers? These are the modifiers that I'm going to mention first. You have morale recovery. That's not this case. Leader directed movement. That's not this case. Opportunity fire. Not this case. Grenade attacks and assault. So none of those apply. So I think it's a straight PC check. So let's say that was the first PC check. The Soviet soldier passes his PC check. So we're going to continue on with the fire combat here. So back to the basic fire procedure for both AP and AT fire. That was step C. The Soviet rifleman passed his PC check, or his PC, his performance check. So he will participate in combat resolution. So next step D, is determine the final firepower strength of the attack. And there's one section for AP firepower, and there's another section for AT firepower, which makes sense. But let's figure out what this Soviet soldier's firepower is. So we go to another rule section under AP fire, and we have this is section 11, and we have 11.1 AP firepower strength. So the AP firepower strength is determined by taking the total number of AP factors of the firing unit or units. Okay, so I'm not have to pick them up, unfortunately, but there it is. There's a Soviet rifle. Wow, that's dark. All right, you can see the 4 on the lower left there. Well, that's really unfortunate, but 4. So this Soviet rifleman has a firepower 4, and I'm going to use this as my little reminder here because, it's just going to help as I go through the calculations here. So he starts with a 4. If several are capable, okay. So you can combine firepower if you have more than one shooters under some circumstances, not automatic, but under some circumstances you can combine. The AP firepower strength may be reduced by terrain, location of target hex, and range attenuation. So basically I'm choosing, obviously, the first direct fire combat is straight, clear terrain, clear target hex. So basically I'm taking terrain out, right? So there aren't any modifications for those things. Range for terrain. Now let's talk about range attenuation. Okay, I'm going to pick my unit up again. And now the number in the top right, 7 in this case, that is the, I can't remember what the rules call it, but that's like the base range. The base range. So, or initial range. I'm sorry, the rules say initial range, so I guess I'll use the term initial range. 7. So out 7 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no reductions for range attenuation. There would be as you do multiples of that initial range beyond, but obviously the target is within the initial range, so there's no adjustments for range attenuation. Okay. So in order for AP firepower modifications, you have reductions for range attenuation, none in this case, all doubling, halving, thirding, or quartering of firepower, whatever those are. They're not going to apply in this straightforward case. And then any other reductions such as terrain effects, again, don't have any. Point being, the initial firepower of 4 is not modified for anything, so we stay with a 4. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the base fire combat resolution procedure. So we've just determined the final firepower string. That's step D. Now we're going to go on to step E, determine the number of dice required for resolution. So AP dice determination. Again, there's an AP dice determination procedure and an AT dice determination procedure. We are going to look at the AP dice determination. The number of dice. No, it's kind of funny because nowhere in the rules that I've seen is it ever mentioned that this is a fistful of dice system, but it is. Okay, so I guess I'll show one. I guess I'll be showing one, the movement and combat effects table. But okay, in order, the number of dice required to resolve each AP fire combat like this is determined by the target hex terrain. Target hex terrain is clear. The up-down state of the target unit. Let's talk about up-down state now. The front of the unit with the black text, well, the black text, is the unit in the up posture or position. I guess they say position. I like posture, but I don't want to confuse matters here. So the up state or position. You flip it over, the text turns to white. That's the unit in the down state or position. That's what up down means. And all of the personnel units have that. It's kind of nice here because now your very hard to read Soviet soldier flips over to a nice to read. So it'd be nice if they would have, I don't know, done. Actually, there just should have been a lighter brown, I guess. But anyways, that's the Soviet soldier rifleman in the down position or state. Okay, position. Okay, so that's what it is. I wanted to talk about that. They're both in an up position, so there's not going to be a modification for that. All right. And then whether or not the firing unit has moved. So in this game, it is possible. Now, the game does not come with fired and moved information markers at all. So I am using spare pieces from ATS. So these are my fired and moved markers, okay, that I'm going to use for my plane. So it is possible, it is possible in this game for the unit to have already moved this turn. It would be marked with a moved marker like this, and you would adjust for that. But we'll get to that later. So that's about it. And then, so now what do? I don't have changes for up, down, or I don't have dice modification by the state of the target. The fire is not moved, so now we get the target hex terrain. So this is the movement and combat effects chart, and right there we have clear. That's our terrain. That's our target hex terrain. And right here, number of AP combat dice, 1 die. 1 die. So in this case, under these circumstances, it's 1 die. So now we go back to our procedure. We're going to roll the dice and apply the result. So what we do, I'm going to roll the die first. Oh, that's too bad. All right, so he rolls a 5. So now we have, this is step F. So the previous step was step E, where we determine the number of dice. Now we do roll the dice and apply the result is step F. And again, we have an AP and an AT procedure. So So let's resolve this combat. So there are 3 levels of combat results: pinned, suppressed, and eliminated. Pinned, there. We have pinned, we have suppressed, we have suppressed, and then we have eliminated. Don't ask me why the funky purple color, but that's what they went with. Okay, there are 3 levels of combat results: pinned, suppressed, or eliminated. The attacking AP firepower strength defines the chances of each result occurring. The dice roll determines the exact result achieved. So let's do it this way. This is going to make it easy. What we do is we need to figure out the results levels. Start with the final AP power total. Remember, that was 4. That's why I left it there, so you could see it and remember it. This is the pinned level. So 4 equals 4. Okay, 4 is the pinned level, like that. Then we have that round up, which is easy because it's going to be 2. 2, have the P number, round up, and this is the suppressed level, like that. And then have the suppressed number round up, and this is the eliminated level. So that would be 1, and hey, I just happen to have let's call that the eliminated, right? So 4, which equals the adjusted firepower. Have that round up as suppressed. Have the suppressed number round up. That's the elimination. That's how we rolled a 5, which means we got a no effect. No effect, right? So if they had rolled a 4, that corresponds to the pinned level of 4 and a 3 in this case. So we would, well, first of all, the target German would go down automatically and be pinned. There we go. Boom. And if the Soviet player would have rolled a 1, obviously eliminated, removed from the board right away. So that is the basics of AP direct fire.